Well, the warm days continue. Today's exceptionally warm morning again. And I think everything is sort of a month ahead of the schedule, so to speak. Because yesterday I was on the garden and it was dusk, it was almost dark. And there were June bugs flying out. You know, these little beetles that sort of fly in droves, and they hatch out of the ground at a certain point, and they're everywhere. They fly, you know, they fly around you, and there's hundreds and thousands of them. But that happens, as the name suggests, in June. And it was 1st of May. So I suspect everything is really, as I was talking about that 4 weeks ahead thing with the frosts, that actually everything was 4 weeks ahead. I believe the same went for the June bugs, really, for the June beetles. Because I don't recall them flying out so soon. It almost felt like summer yesterday, really. And what's Drake doing there? Oh, okay, cool. I thought he's eating something. So, yeah, it's crazy. It really did felt a lot like summer. Now, if you can see, hawthorns are in bloom right now. Seems like they're late bloomers. I didn't realize that. Got a couple of hawthorns in the garden too, and they're in bloom as well. And loads of other species are still yet to bloom. Yeah. This is quite nice. It's like warm, and there's this wind which makes it sort of refreshing. It's very pleasant, very pleasant temperature and sort of weather. Yeah, like I mean, if this would be the whole summer, I would be thrilled. That would be the best. But I'm afraid. Oh, wow! Look at that. Is there going to be white deer? You see those? Those are red deers. Large ones. Like red deer does. And I see only 3 of them. Although, I suspect there's almost always there's a white deer with them. Should we investigate? I don't know. Should we? You know how well there they go. 1, 2, 3. Also, it was just 3 this time. Wow, they're huge. Cool. Okay. So yeah, red deer does. Usually you see roe deers here, but there are red deers. We've seen the stag, a herd of stags recently. Those were the same species. Wow, look at the amount of wild strawberries here. That's gonna be absolutely amazing once it starts to fruit. Definitely gonna visit this spot. I mean, we're walking here every day, so certainly gonna be here once it ripens. But that's a load of wild strawberries. We got Songfresh from that spot on our left. Nice repetitions. Yeah, I see. What was that? Oh, There's deer. Yeah, there's more deer. I think roe deer this time because it wasn't as large. I don't know where Drake is again. Guess we're gonna have to follow him. Hold on. Where did he go? Is there another carcass here? Wouldn't be surprised. Where is he? Man, my vision is very blurry. I maybe really should start taking the glasses because I can't see much. I guess maybe it's because I woke up very recently. But, oh, there he is. Okay, he doesn't seem to be carrying anything. Okay, cool. Well, this one looks like it's gonna fall soon. Yeah. Well, okay, let's take it through here, I guess. Wow, how it got shadier, you know, with all the leaves growing up on the trees. Remember we were walking here like, I don't know, a month ago maybe, and it was way more open. Now it's like very sort of closed by the canopies. It's pretty cool. And yeah, I mentioned in the last video, I mentioned the metal detector. And actually, yeah, I'm quite into it, I gotta say. And I was into it. It's not anything new, really. I mean, I bought it quite recently, but that's kind of a rediscovery for me because I was going metal detecting. I think how old I am. Hold on, let me calculate. I am okay. So 13, hold on, no. 20 years ago, actually, 20 years ago, I started metal detecting when I was still a kid. Well, a teenager, you could say. What is it, Drake? You can go through here. He's waiting for me. So I was metal detecting when I was a teenager. Freshly a teenager, and that was 20 years ago. So by then, you know, metal detecting, I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't popular. I mean, it was you know, like quite a few people were, come on Drake, quite a few people were metal detecting, but it was nowhere near as popular as it is today. And I, you know, I was really into history, and I kind of, it was like a natural thing for me. I loved finding things, you know, I love finding fossils as well, and all sorts of things since I was a little kid, really, since I was born, basically. I was looking out for bugs and all sorts of things I could find in nature. And, okay, hold on, buddy. Almost there. Almost there. My goodness, the voice. All right, there you go. There you go, buddy. So yeah, I was into, you know, searching for things and going out into nature and excuse me, and you know, hold on, let me I'll drink. So this was kind of a natural bridge because I was really into history. I was studying, self-studying sort of, I think it was mostly First and Second World War that I was really into when I was like, it's like it was a little battle between two gray tits, unless it's a pair, which I can't really see. I think it's two males. So there was a little bit of a scuffle there. So I was into history and like mostly First and Second World War, and I think it was about 11, 12, 13, you know, and then I was like, oh, you know, there's this like thing. I don't even know how I found out about it, you know, because no one in my sort of no one around me was into it, you know. I didn't know any friend who got a metal detector or their dad who's got metal detector. I don't know. I didn't know anybody. But somehow, I guess, I wonder how though. That's interesting. I don't know. Maybe I saw someone metal detecting. I was like, this is cool. I would love that. Or maybe I searched it because back then I didn't have as good access to internet as it was now, because it was, you know, early 2000. So I don't know if I just Googled it. I don't think so, because Google wasn't really much of a thing back then. So I don't know, but I just somehow I found out about it, and I was like, wow, this is great. This would be so cool, finding treasures. That's when I started, and I was metal detecting for a few years with a very, very basic second-hand detector that my dad bought me, and or my mom, like my parents. I don't know if it was my mom or my dad. I don't know, but they bought me a second-hand metal detector, and then, you know, it was very, very basic, and then puberty came, and I kind of, you know, sort of left it, and then kind of rediscovered it about 10 years ago, actually. Yeah, 10 years ago, when I got super into it again, and I bought my own metal detector, much better one, and I was like so into it, and I found pretty cool treasures that pretty cool artifacts that I gave to an archaeologist, and she's like a specialist on a certain field, and she did a whole study on them. That was like my most amazing find I've ever done, and it was a bunch of and I don't know what the English term for it, but it was a sort of a varic sort of metal, something they put like as a sort of a decoration on their belts, and it was about 6th or 7th century. I think it was about 6th or 7th century, and it was made out of bronze. And it was absolutely beautiful. You know, it had absolutely beautiful decorations, and I found, I don't know, about 10 of them. One in the shape of a boar's head. It was just absolutely beautiful and very cool. And the archaeologist was a specialist on that, and she made us like I think she was writing a book about it. Like, she wrote several books, I believe, and so she had it for a while, you know, and she was actually just like borrowing it at first, and then I was like, you know what, I mean, I would have it on my shelf, and it has an historical value, and like, you know, let's give it to a specialist, and she'll give it to a museum. And right now I think it might be exposed, it might be in an exposition in a national museum in Prague. I'm not sure though, because I haven't checked, and she wasn't able to confirm it for me. So I'm gonna have to go there myself and see if it's there. But it might be, very well might be there in an exposition in National Museum, which is pretty cool. And I'm glad it got the exposure it deserves, you know, because again, at my spot, at my place, it would just be sitting on a shelf gathering dust. Not really, because I had a cool sort of like an album for it where I put it, but like that doesn't matter, you know. It's still, it's a historically valuable thing. It's not like a silver coin that you find somewhere in the field, and that doesn't really hold any significant historical value, because you cannot really say, oh, this was a part of something, you know, or this was you know, no, because someone just dropped that coin. Maybe if you find it on a field, God knows where it was originally, you know, it got dug out by the harvesters, and you know, there is no like connection to anything. Of course it has a historical value because it's an old coin, and it might be rare, and it might be from silver or gold or something, but that has like, you know, like a museum or like any sort of archaeologist has nothing to do, like they cannot say anything about it, you know, because it's just a coin that someone left somewhere at a certain point and you found it. But if you do have a discovery of this sort where you find loads of different, in the same area, loads of different parts of an accessory, and it was in an area where originally there was there used to be, or close, there used to be some sort of a settlement, where that has a historical archaeological value, and it is something, you know, like very old, and it has a cultural significance, you know. There is a whole sorts of things, and whole sort of things that you can actually sort of discover out of it, and establish and evaluate, and God knows what else, right? And even one of those metal, the decorative parts of the belt, it had, it still had attached a part of the wire that it was attached to the leather, which is amazing. After, well, it was 6th, 7th century, you know how old it was, how long it was in the ground. It's incredible. It still had a part of the wire that was attached to the belt. And not only that, but from the other side, you could actually see the imprint, the texture and imprint, the pattern of probably a linen cloth that was used to make the form, like that was used to make the forms in which they poured the bronze into, I guess. And you could beautifully see the pattern of the cloth. It was amazing, really. All those little details, and everything got preserved for so long. And of course you got much older artifacts, like people are finding bronze knives from, I don't know, 3,000 years BCE, you know, like, I mean, much older artifacts, you know, but still very, very cool find, and very specific for you know, the Czech sort of, for Czech Republic culturally, sorry, I digressed there a little bit, but that was the second time I rediscovered the metal detecting, and I made that amazing find. And apart from that, I did find a Gaelic, little Gaelic sort of silver coin, which unfortunately cannot be specified from which date or from which sort of a king it was, because there is nothing visible on it, but it's certainly Gaelic. And I found that in South France, along with some other old coins, and I found one sort of like a brooch that was used to pin what do you call it? Not a mantle, but, you know, pin a cloth, essentially. It was a part of a daily accessory of Romans, you know. So it was a Roman brooch, not super well preserved, but there was a bit of animal still on it, like a red animal, and it was bronze as well. And so that was probably one of my top finds, along with these. A very decorational belt. There's a word for it in Czech. I don't know what is the word in English. But yeah, that was that. And then I sort of cut it off because I felt like I was way too sort of obsessive about it, if that makes sense. And I was way too much into it, and I think it was a little bit of a peer pressure as well. But also, I mean, it was my own, independent decision, kind of influenced by peer pressure a little bit, that I just quit because I was like not spending too much time with it, but being way too sort of focused on it and being too obsessed with, like finding things and all that. So I was like, and I at the time I was, I don't know, 20 something, so I was like a sort of I wouldn't say different person, but way less grounded and way less patient, and I changed. I mean, who doesn't, right? So I quit at that point, but 10 years after, I had thoughts about it throughout the years. So I was always like, it's like, what's the point? Like finding things in the ground. I mean, I was trying to persuade myself it doesn't make sense, and it's like, what's the point? But if I'm to be honest, I do love it. I do love finding things. I do love digging out history. I do love the detective work that you put into the various things that you find, and finding out their origin and finding out their story, and then reading up on it on Wikipedia. I love that whole process of research. It's kind of similar as with like birds and insects and all that. I love reading up about it and finding out more about it. And so I got back to it, and I do really enjoy it, and I'm not as obsessive about it. I'm not obsessive about it as I used to be. And I really enjoy it, and so I'm back really in the metal detecting sort of business, quote unquote. And right now I'm in a process of because I bought a very basic one, very basic, like the most basic, like almost the most basic one, just like like it's sort of a side fun that we're gonna have when we go out somewhere. I'm just gonna metal detect a little bit, but I shortly, like a month after, I realized that I do really enjoy it a lot, and that this one is really truly very basic. So I'm in a process of like trying to upgrade it right now to a much better one, like a miles better one really, and more expensive one. That's why it's kind of a process, because I kind of have to sort of gather the funds for it first. I'm going to be selling a couple of things to sort of have the money for it, but then I'm going to upgrade to a much better, much more professional model that I'm really excited about. And it's going to be a blast to search with, because it's going to show you so many things and so many data about what is in the ground, and that's going to be a very new experience to me, because I'm like mostly basic detectors, and the one that I bought 10 years ago was a little better, but still 10 years ago the sort of the technology wasn't as advanced as it is now, and still was like you had to read a lot in between the tones, and like you were still digging a lot of stuff that sounded like a gold coin, and then you dug out a bottle cap and so on and so forth. So this detector is very advanced, and it shows a lot of data, and gives you a lot of sort of info about what's currently in the ground beneath you, and how deep it is, and what kind of a metal it is, what kind of shape it is. It shows you on the display. It's incredible. So I'm about in the process of getting that detector. I'm not sure how long it's gonna take, but I'm set on getting it. And that's about that. So I'm getting back to metal detecting, and I was even thinking if I should, but like, I mean, I don't know, there's a lot of channels out there who, but there's a kite which was cut down, which was attached to a tree for a long time. It was on the top because some neighbors here were doing a kite, like they were, you know, having kites, and it was very windy, and it ended up on a tree, and now it's cut down. But I was thinking about, you know, capturing maybe some of the moments when I'm going to be out metal detecting on the camera. Thing might be quite interesting, but then again, if you check YouTube, there's thousands of channels doing exactly that. So I wouldn't be exactly bringing anything new to the table, right? But I mean, I might do a special sort of video, special edition at some point. Not like I'm gonna make this channel metal detecting channel. That's definitely not gonna happen. But I might, you know, make a video here and there where I'm gonna be out with a metal detector, maybe, and share some cool finds with you, maybe. I don't know. It's just that, you know, it's not I'm trying to be original at, you know, like whatever it takes to be super original, you know, but it's kind of like, you know, so many people out there are doing this, you know, like metal detecting and showing you finds and all that. There's tons of channels about that, and very successful ones, and I'm like, you know, I'm like, what would I be bringing to the table, you know? Who would give who would give a damn about me metal detecting? I don't know. I think this is what I'm doing right now. Is not saying it's super original, but it's something that is like sort of mine, quote unquote, and I like the way it is, and I don't want to sort of change the way this channel works and these videos work. I really want to make it about nature and about sort of present moment and the walks and you know, sort of the unexpected sort of adventures that, you know, we're having with Drake on these walks. And that's what I want to be, that's what I want this channel or these videos to be about. But I am quite passionate about this, about, you know, history and finding things with metal detector. So I might make a video where I'm gonna be exploring some of these parts which we already explored on foot. Just like walking, I might explore actually with metal detector. Yeah, so that might be a thing I might do. But again, probably like one video in a month or something, you know. It's not going to be like a thing, let's say, a special editions with metal detector, maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's just a little bit of a thought, food for thought. Anyways, I'm gonna sign off now.